What if I told you the Middle Ages were not just about castles, kings, and knights, but about secrets so strange, so disturbing, and so unbelievable that even historians still argue about them today? And if you skip this video, you will miss the darkest, most shocking mysteries ever hidden in human history. Because in medieval times, people vanished without a trace. Books were written in languages no one could read, and objects were found that should not exist at all. So stay with me, because what you are about to hear will change how you see the past forever. And we begin with a mystery that still has no explanation. The Voynich Manuscript, a book discovered in 1912 but written in the 1400s, filled with strange symbols, impossible plants, and unknown diagrams, and no one, not even the world's best codebreakers, has been able to read it. Some say it is a medical guide, others say it is alien knowledge, and some believe it hides a secret so dangerous it was meant to stay buried. And here is the creepy part. Every page looks meaningful, like it was written by someone who knew something the rest of the world did not. But what exactly, and why hide it? And just when you think medieval life was simple, this book proves they were hiding knowledge we still don't understand. But that is only the beginning, because across Europe people believed in something even more terrifying: the walking dead. Yes, medieval villagers truly believed that the dead could rise from their graves. And when strange illnesses spread, they didn't blame germs, they blamed vampires. And in places like Serbia and Hungary, bodies were dug up, stabbed with wooden stakes, and even burned, not in stories, in real life, because people swore they saw the dead walking at night, feeding on the living. And here's the twist: some graves actually contained bodies that looked fresh months after death, which made the fear even stronger. But today we know cold weather can slow decay, yet back then, this was proof of the undead, and entire villages lived in terror, sleeping with garlic, iron, and holy symbols, believing monsters were among them. And if that wasn't strange enough, there were people who truly believed they could turn into wolves, known as werewolves, and medieval courts even held trials where men were accused of transforming at night to hunt humans. And some confessed, not because they were crazy, but because they believed it themselves. Imagine a world where fear was stronger than logic, where your neighbor could be a monster, and your grave could not protect you. But now let's go deeper into a mystery that still confuses historians: the dancing plague of 1518. When hundreds of people in France began dancing in the streets, non-stop, day and night, until they collapsed. Some even died from exhaustion, and no one could stop them. Musicians were hired to dance it out, but the people kept moving like they were possessed. Was it poison, stress, or something supernatural? We still don't know. And imagine watching your friends dance themselves to death, unable to control their own bodies. And this wasn't the only strange outbreak, because medieval Europe also feared something called spontaneous human combustion, where people were said to burst into flames without any fire nearby. And while science offers some explanations today, back then, it was seen as divine punishment, and fear ruled every mind. But not all mysteries were about death. Some were about knowledge, hidden knowledge, like the legendary philosopher's stone, an object that was said to turn metal into gold and grant eternal life. And alchemists spent their entire lives searching for it, risking poison, madness, and ruin, because they believed immortality was real, and some even claimed success. But where is the stone now? Was it real, or just a dream that drove people insane? And speaking of impossible things, medieval maps showed lands that should not exist, like the island of High Brazil, said to appear once every 7 years, glowing in the ocean, and sailors swore they saw it, but no one could ever reach it. And some maps even showed monsters at the edges of the world, because people believed the unknown was dangerous. But sometimes the real danger was hidden in plain sight, like the flagellants, groups of people who whipped themselves in public to cleanse their sins, believing pain would save their souls, marching through cities, bleeding, crying, and spreading fear, while crowds ched in horror, and the church itself struggled to control them. But here comes a darker twist. Medieval medicine, where doctors believed bloodletting could cure almost anything, so they cut people open to balance their humors, and many patients died from the treatment, not the illness. And if you had a toothache, they might drill into your skull to release bad spirits, because they believed the mind could be physically cleansed. And yet, despite all this fear, confusion, and suffering, people still searched for meaning, for truth, for answers beyond their world. And some even claimed to speak with angels, like Joan of Arc, a teenage girl who said God guided her into battle, leading armies and changing history. But was it divine vision, or something else? And why did her voices suddenly stop? And then there were the cursed objects, like the Black Book of Carmarthen, said to hold forbidden spells, and the Devil's Bible, also known as the Codex Gigas, a massive book with a full-page illustration of Satan, believed to be written in one night by a monk who made a deal with the devil, and the handwriting throughout the book is identical, as if written by one person in a single session. But how is that possible for a book that large? And now for the most chilling mystery of all. Medieval people didn't just fear monsters, they feared time itself, because some believed the world was close to ending. Plagues, wars, and strange signs in the sky made them think Judgment Day was coming. And when the Black Death wiped out nearly half of Europe, people thought God had abandoned them. Bodies filled the streets, prayers filled the air, and hope disappeared. But out of that darkness, something strange happened. Humans began to question, to record, to explore, and to seek truth beyond fear. And here is the powerful reveal. The greatest medieval mystery was not a monster, a book, or a curse. It was the human mind itself, how people could believe in the impossible, fear the unknown, and yet still build castles, write books, and dream of the future. And maybe the real secret is this: the Middle Ages were not dark because of ignorance. They were dark because people were trying to understand a world that made no sense, just like we are today. And the mysteries they left behind are not just about the past. They are mirrors showing us how humans face fear, uncertainty, and the unknown. And if you think our world is strange now, just remember, once upon a time, people truly believed the dead walked, the devil wrote books, and hidden knowledge could change reality forever. And just when you think the medieval world could not get any stranger, the deeper you look, the darker and more mysterious it becomes, because hidden behind stone walls and candlelight were secrets so disturbing that even today, historians hesitate to talk about them. And one of those secrets was the strange practice of trial by ordeal, where instead of evidence, God was believed to decide guilt. So if someone was accused of a crime, they were forced to hold hot iron, walk on burning coals, or sink or float in water, and if they survived, they were innocent, but if they died, people believed God had judged them. And here's the terrifying part. The church supported this, because faith was stronger than logic. And imagine being tied up, thrown into a river, and watching people pray while you fought for your life, knowing that survival was your only proof. And yet, this wasn't even the most disturbing mystery, because medieval Europe was also obsessed with relics, pieces of saints' bodies, bones, teeth, hair, even blood, and churches claimed these relics had magical powers, that they could heal the sick, protect cities, and bring blessings. But here's the twist. There were so many relics of the same saints that mathematically it made no sense. Some saints supposedly had 3 skulls, 10 hands, and dozens of ribs, and yet people still believed, because belief gave them hope in a world full of death. And speaking of death, there was a place no one wanted to visit: the medieval. Plague pits, mass graves where thousands of bodies were thrown during the Black Death, and some of these pits were sealed quickly, with no prayers, no names, just silence. But years later, strange rumors spread that noises came from underground, that the dead were not fully gone, and fear returned. And here comes another mystery: the flag of the dead, a symbol used in some regions to warn of disease, where black cloths were hung outside homes, meaning death had already entered. And once the flag was raised, no one came to help, because helping meant risking your own life, so entire families were left to die alone. And yet, some survivors claimed they saw shadowy figures moving through the streets at night, dressed like monks, whispering prayers for the dying, but no records of such monks exist. So who were they? Angels, ghosts, or just desperate people trying to give comfort? And while death ruled the land, strange cults also rose, groups that believed the end of the world was near. And one of the most mysterious was the cult of the free spirit, who believed they were beyond sin, that once you reached spiritual perfection, nothing you did was wrong. So they rejected laws, church rules, and even basic morality, and medieval authorities hunted them down, calling them heretics. But some writings suggest these people were simply searching for freedom in a world that offered none. And then there were the witch trials, where mostly women were accused of working with the devil, Bel, aimed for storms, sickness, and bad harvests, and tortured until they confessed to impossible crimes like flying, shape-shifting, and summoning demons. And the scariest part, some of them truly believed their own confessions, because after enough pain, the mind breaks and reality disappears. And what made it worse was the book called Malleus Maleficarum, The Hammer of Witches, a manual on how to find and punish witches, teaching people to fear their neighbors, their wives, even their daughters, and trust vanished from villages, replaced by suspicion and terror. But medieval fear was not only about witches and death, it was also about the unknown world beyond Europe, because maps showed lands filled with giants, dog-headed men, and fire-breathing creatures, and travelers told stories of races that lived without heads, with faces in their chests. And while today we laugh, back then, these stories felt real, because most people never traveled beyond their village, so imagination ruled their reality. And then there were secret societies like the Knights Templar, a powerful group of warrior monks who became rich, mysterious, and feared. And when the French king arrested them, he accused them of worshipping strange idols, spitting on crosses and practicing dark rituals. And many were tortured and burned, but no solid evidence was ever found. And to this day, people believe the Templars hid a secret treasure or sacred knowledge before their destruction. And some even claim the IR secrets survived into modern times. But what were they really hiding? Gold, relics, or something far more powerful? And now comes a chilling mystery involving children. The Pied Piper of Hamelin, a legend based on real records from the 1200s, where a man in colourful clothes led the town's children away, and they never returned. And the town recorded this event with sadness, but never explained it. And historians still debate. Did the children die in a disaster? Were they kidnapped? Or did they migrate to unknown lands? And why did the story turn into a fairy tale? Maybe to hide the pain of losing an entire generation. And medieval people were no strangers to tragedy, because war was constant, and some battlefields became so haunted by death that soldiers claimed they saw ghosts of fallen warriors fighting at night, swords clashing in empty fields, and strange lights moving across the ground. And even today, some of those places are considered cursed. And if that wasn't enough, there were the mysterious green children of Woolpit, 2 children with green skin who appeared in an English village speaking an unknown language, refusing normal food, and claiming to come from an underground land. And while science suggests medical explanations, the story remains strange because their origin was never fully confirmed, and medieval people believed they came from another world. And then there were the medieval sin-eaters, people hired to eat food placed on the chest of the dead, believing this transferred the sins of the deceased into the eater, freeing the soul. And these sin-eaters lived isolated, feared, and hated because they carried the sins of the entire community. And imagine living as a human garbage bin for guilt, shunned by everyone, yet needed by all. And as the centuries passed, strange inventions appeared, like early mechanical machines, self-moving clocks, and devices that looked almost magical. And people believed some inventors had made deals with dark forces to gain knowledge, and when strange fires, explosions, or accidents happened, whispers of demonic help spread, and fear returned. And now we reach one of the darkest medieval mysteries of all, the obsession with death itself, known as the Dance of Death, where art showed skeletons leading kings, priests, and children into the grave, reminding everyone that no one escapes. And in some cities, people actually held death processions, dressing as corpses, walking through streets to scare others into repentance, because fear was the strongest tool of control. And yet, behind all this darkness, something powerful was happening. People were writing, recording, and questioning, because every mystery, every tragedy, every unexplained event pushed humanity to seek answers. And here comes another chilling question. How many medieval mysteries were not supernatural at all, but misunderstood science, hidden politics, or silenced truths? And what if some secrets were buried on purpose, to protect power, religion, and control? And the deeper we dig, the clearer it becomes. The medieval world was not just mysterious, it was a battlefield between fear and curiosity, belief and reason, darkness and light. And the greatest mystery of all is this: how humanity survived such a world, full of death, superstition, and hidden horrors, and still managed to move forward, because every mystery left behind is not just a story, it is a reminder of how fragile truth can be, and how powerful belief really is.